Could chicken-fed omega-3 cut risk of a heart attack? Diet containing meat and eggs rich in the fatty acid helped reduce chance of an attack. Meat and eggs from chickens fed a diet rich in omega-3 are likely to reduce the risks of heart attacks, strokes, dementia and depression. The omega-3 fatty acids normally found in oily fish are known to be beneficial for the brain, eyes, arteries and general good health. Now research on eggs and meat from chickens given a diet including an algae which is rich in the substance offers similar human health benefits. The world's first clinical trial was carried out by the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland on behalf of Belfast-based farming and food company Devenish. Devenish has been working on improving the health of chicken meat and eggs for 10 years in a partnership with Waitrose and its chicken suppliers, Moypark. Waitrose began selling the chicken with enhanced levels of omega-3 in the meat last year. The chicken meat and eggs used in the new study came from birds given Omega-Pro, an algae-based source of omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, PUFA. The trial involved 161 people who ate at least 3 portions of chicken and eggs per week. Participants saw an increase in omega-3 PUFA levels in blood and a positive shift in what is described as the omega-3 index, a test that measures the amount of the omega-3 fatty acids, docosahexaenoic acid, DHA, and icosapentaenoic acid, EPA, in red blood cell membranes. A low omega-3 index indicates a heightened risk of heart and brain disease. The number of people who fell into this category halved during the trial. The results of the 6-month clinical trial were presented on a world stage at the American Heart Association Scientific Sessions Conference in Anaheim, California. Professor Alice Stanton, of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, told the conference, greater consumption of oily fish has long been linked to a reduced incidence of heart attack, stroke, diabetes and cancer and improved brain health, vision, muscle and joint health. International guidelines recommend eating oily fish at least once per week. However, many people do not eat fish at all and less than 20% of the world's population have optimal omega-3 PUFA levels. Therefore, in this project we studied the recently developed alternatives to oily fish or supplementation, namely chicken meat and eggs, naturally enriched with sustainable algae-based omega-3 PUFA. Omega-3 enriched chicken and eggs offer consumers an attractive alternative to eating oily fish or to the lifelong taking of supplements, with the potential for substantial health benefits. Professor Alice Stanton said the consumption of oily fish is linked to reducing the risks of heart attacks and strokes +2. Professor Alice Stanton said the consumption of oily fish is linked to reducing the risks of heart attacks and strokes. Professor Chris Elliott, founder of the Institute for Global Food Security at Queens University Belfast, said, the cost to the health service of treating cardiovascular-related illness in the UK is £10 billion a year. Having access to sustainably produced nutrient-rich food, with a scientifically proven health claim, offers huge potential to turn this around globally. Now the technique has been proven to work, it could also be used to improve the diet of other farm animals to deliver healthier pork, beef and milk. Dr. Heather Hayes, Director of Food Innovation with Devenish, said, offering birds a natural and sustainable source of omega-3 PUFA is good for the bird and good for the consumer. Taste panel studies have shown that the omega-3 enriched chicken meat tastes as good, if not better than conventional chicken. This science has demonstrated the importance of food nutrients to promote good health and prevent ill health. We are also focusing our research efforts on producing sustainable and nutrient-rich pork, beef and milk, with scientifically proven health claims. Omega-3 is just one nutrient that we are interested in, we are working on others too. The executive chairman of Devenish, Owen Brennan, said, we worked closely with Moypark, Waitrose and the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, to deliver an innovative, nutrient-rich food that increases omega-3 levels in consumers, naturally. The science shows the importance of food nutrients to promote good health in consumers, and the innovation starts on the farm. The farmer has a key role to play in delivering sustainable and nutritious food with a health claim. Dr. Patrick Wall, Professor of Public Health at University College Dublin, said, by enriching the bird's diet, the meat and eggs become naturally enriched with omega-3 PUFA and the associated nutritional benefits are then passed on to consumers. By including the omega-3 in chicken and eggs, both very affordable sources of quality protein, all segments of the population can benefit from this approach to using innovative animal nutrition to benefit human health. Parkinson's disease, a looming pandemic. New research shows that the number of people with Parkinson's disease will soon grow to pandemic proportions. In a commentary appearing today in the journal JAMA Neurology, University of Rochester Medical Center neurologist Ray Dorsey, MD, and Bastiaan Bloem, MD, PhD, with Radboud University Medical Center in the Netherlands, argue that the medical community must be mobilized to respond to this impending public health threat. Pandemics are usually equated with infectious diseases like Zika, influenza, and HIV, said Dorsey. But neurological disorders are now the leading cause of disability in the world, and the fastest growing is Parkinson's disease. The piece builds upon the Global Burden of Disease study, also co-authored by Dorsey, which appeared in the Lancet Neurology in September and showed that neurological disorders are now the leading source of disability globally. That study tracked the prevalence of neurological diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, stroke, epilepsy, meningitis, encephalitis, multiple sclerosis, and migraine, both globally and by country. In their commentary, the authors point out that between 1990 and 2015, the prevalence of Parkinson's more than doubled, and it is estimated that 6.9 million people across the globe have the disease. By 2040, researchers believe that number of people with Parkinson's will grow to 14.2 million as the population ages and the rate of growth will outpace Alzheimer's. These estimates are likely conservative due to underreporting, misdiagnosis, and increasing life expectancy. To combat this growing pandemic, the authors argue that the medical community should pursue the same strategies that, in 15 years, transformed HIV from an unknown and fatal illness into a highly treatable chronic condition. People with HIV infection simply demanded better treatments and successfully rallied for both awareness and new treatments, literally chaining themselves to the doors of pharmaceutical companies, said Bloem. Today, HIV has become a treatable, chronic disease. This upcoming increase in the number of Parkinson patients is striking and frankly worrisome. We feel it is urgent that people with Parkinson's go to the pharmaceutical industry and policymakers alike, demanding immediate action to fight this enormous threat. The authors contend that the Parkinson's community must come together and focus its activism in support of developing a better understand the environmental, genetic, and behavioral causes and risk factors for Parkinson's to help prevent its onset, increasing access to care. An estimated 40% of people with the disease in both the US and Europe do not see a neurologist, and the number is far greater in developing nations, advocating for increases in research funding for the disease, and lowering the cost of treatments. Many patients in low-income countries do not have access to drugs that are both life-saving and improve quality of life. For too long the Parkinson's community has been too quiet on these issues, said Dorsey. Building on the AIDS community's motto of silence equals death, the Parkinson's community should make their voices heard. The current and future burden of this debilitating disease depends upon their action. Too many people have Parkinson's today and more will face diagnoses tomorrow, say Todd Scherer, PhD, CEO of the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. We all, government, patient organizations, researchers, doctors and patients, must work together for better care for those living with this disease and research toward a future without Parkinson's. Study reveals how a very low-calorie diet can reverse type 2 diabetes. In a new study, a Yale-led research team uncovers how a very low-calorie diet can rapidly reverse type 2 diabetes in animal models. If confirmed in people, the insight provides potential new drug targets for treating this common chronic disease, said the researchers. The study is published in Cell Metabolism. 1 in 3 Americans will develop type 2 diabetes by 2050. According to recent projections by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Reports indicate that the disease goes into remission in many patients who undergo bariatric weight loss surgery, which significantly restricts caloric intake prior to clinically significant weight loss. The Yale-led team's study focused on understanding the mechanisms by which caloric restriction rapidly reverses type 2 diabetes. The research team investigated the effects of a very low-calorie diet, VLCD, consisting of 1/4 the normal intake, on a rodent model of type 2 diabetes. Using a novel stable, naturally occurring, isotope approach, which they developed, the researchers tracked and calculated a number of metabolic processes that contribute to the increased glucose production by the liver. The method, known as PINTA, allowed the investigators to perform a comprehensive set of analyses of key metabolic fluxes within the liver that might contribute to insulin resistance and increased rates of glucose production by the liver, two key processes that cause increased blood sugar concentrations in diabetes. Using this approach, the researchers pinpointed three major mechanisms responsible for the VLCD's dramatic effect of rapidly lowering blood glucose concentrations in the diabetic animals. In the liver, the VLCD lowers glucose production by 1. Decreasing the conversion of lactate and amino acids into glucose, 2. Decreasing the rate of liver glycogen conversion to glucose, and 3. Decreasing fat content, which in turn improves the liver's response to insulin. These positive effects of the VLCD were observed in just 3 days. Using this approach to comprehensively interrogate liver carbohydrate and fat metabolism, we showed that it is a combination of three mechanisms that is responsible for the rapid reversal of hyperglycemia following a very low-calorie diet, said senior author Gerald I. Schulman, MD, the George R. Cowgill Professor of Medicine and Cellular and Molecular Physiology and an investigator at the Howard Hughes Medical Institute. The next step for the researchers will be to confirm whether the findings can be replicated in type 2 diabetic patients undergoing either bariatric surgery or consuming very low-calorie diets. His team has already begun applying the PINTA methodology in humans. These results, if confirmed in humans, will provide us with novel drug targets to more effectively treat patients with type 2 diabetes, Schulman said.